step, we're going to assemble our open rose bud with the petals that we have prepared. Before you start attaching the petals, you need to make your rose core, like we've done in the previous lessons. Rewatch them if you don't remember how to do it. Your bud here, the core, should be perhaps a little bit bigger than we've done before, but it has to fit inside the petals, so it has to be a bit smaller than your petal. If the petal is about 4 centimeters, this should be about 3.5 or so no more than 3.5. We have 8 shaped petals and 1 unshapen. So this unshapen petal, you can stretch it a little bit, it will go onto the rose core and will hide the cotton wool like this from the view. So to do that, we'll need to apply glue onto this first petal. I'm applying on the wrong side. It might be seen a little bit in the finished bud, so you need to make sure you are attaching it neatly, and it also should completely conceal the cotton wool from the view. So place it on the rose bud, on the rose core, a little bit higher than your tip, and fold the sides with an overlap to create a tip on the bud. You can roll it between your fingers to make it quite a bit pointy, and the little tail here should go underneath the rose core like this. So this is the beginning of the rose. All the roses that are closed and don't have stamens in the center, they start like this. Obviously 1 petal is not enough to cover the whole cotton wool core, so we will continue working on it with our other petals. We have 8 petals left, so the first 2 of the shaped petals are going to go like this, one into another, interlocking, like a spiral kind of thing. Like this, but glued tighter. So these are the first 2, and then the last 6, we're going to glue them in pairs with a little shift. So 1 petal is shifted slightly to the right from the first one, and these 3 pairs are going to be glued around these petals to form a tightly looking bud like this. So first of all, let's glue the first 2. We will need to apply glue on almost the whole petal apart from the top. The main issue here is to make sure the petals are glued very, very close. Often the mistakes students make, they start opening the rose too quickly and then it doesn't look like a rose. So 1 can go on one side, slightly higher than the previous petal, just a little bit higher, like a millimeter or so. I'm going to attach one side a bit more, like this, and then the other one hugs the bud from the opposite side, but it's going inside the first petal, like this. You'll need a bit more glue here, and probably here. if there are any threads that are coming out of your denim, you can cut them off. So you see that the bud is really close. Whatever little tails are left here, if you need a bit more glue, you can attach them with a bit of glue to your cone. Try not to pay attention to what's happening here. This is all going to be closed. Your main concern is to form the bud here so that it looks right. So once we've done this bit, we can move on to the 3 pairs here. First, we're going to glue the petals into pairs. So put a bit of glue on one petal and then attach. You can do them level, but with a bit of a shift, like 5 millimeters to one side. This is often done to speed up the process because some roses can have 100+ petals. Ours has very few, but we still are using all the principles of rose making. So now we have 3 pairs which should be positioned around these first 2 or 3, let's say, petals, equidistantly. So you locate the 3 so they form a nice circle. Potentially they can be a little bit higher than your previous 2 petals, so something like this. So it's still a very closed bud. This is what we want. Right, so I'm going to add more glue here. Nearly as high as before, but perhaps less high. Right, so 1 pair. Again, 1 goes into the second one, into the third one. So you're kind of overlapping. And the last petal I'm putting underneath the first one, like this. If I need more glue here, I can add. Press all the tails into cotton wool. Also the sides, if you see that there is a bit more glue required, add, and kind of hold quite tightly at the top, so you can see it's like a nice swirl. What you can also do is to warm up your tweezers again a little bit. We're going to add a little bit extra shaping to the petals. If you want a slightly bigger bud, you can do 3 pairs of 3 groups of 3 petals, or 4 groups of 2 petals. Add more petals here, for example. For this particular design, I'm just keeping it simple like this, but you can always, play with a number of petals. We're going to make a slightly bigger rose out of it in the next lessons, so perhaps wait until you see the whole thing. Right, I've warmed up my tweezers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to these edges and I'm going to curl them a bit more so that there is a bit more interest on this bud. Okay, so you can see there's, you know, a little bit more going on. So this is it for the open bud. In the next step, we'll need to do the stem, cover the stem with a nice fabric, and do the calyx. You already know how to do it, so you can just re-watch the lessons where we've already done it and finish your rose bud in this way. One tip when covering rose stems with rose buds or bigger roses, try putting a book or a box underneath your flower so that the flower head is not touching the surface, and it will allow you to run your tweezers along the stem without the flower being in the way. So that's quite important, not to crush the flower when finishing the stem for it. For my arrangement, I made 3 of these open buds, but you're willing to make as many as you would like. This can also be used as a groom's boutonniere, buttonhole if you want, with a shorter stem, for example, and some leaves that we're going to learn how to make later.